Hello. This might help put the microphone here. Good evening, whatever time you may be viewing this. This is Sam Tober, Sound of Joy Music Services, and we're having another impromptu live viewer request. Good to see those who have come in early. Just want to recognize you, Sub Zero. I do see you there. Thank you for coming in. I'm just verifying that I can be heard through my iPad. It's low enough so that you don't hear me talking. Good to be back once again. The start of another work week or holiday here in the United States, but musicians never take a holiday. We just take a pause before we go to our next musical endeavor. So I have a request that came directly to the Sound of Joy email for if I could do the breakdown of. Just want to make sure I read it correctly. Do the breakdown of the song. Now, the request was I serve a living Savior, but I realize that means He lives. Sometimes we recognize songs by the lyrics, but He lives is the song. I have played that my entire career as a church musician, spanning 46 years since 1973. Yeah, retired in 2019. Yeah, so it's 46 years. So very familiar with the song. It has a jazz undertone to it because it is sort of a current song. And as you can see, I'm using my StreamYard software. I want to be able to work more into this. I did pick up, was gifted rather, a secondary camera, even though my replacement camera for the another view is on the way, but it's working good. I may just keep both and sort of work them in. So let's just go. Enough talking for me. Let's go into the song. All right. So this is the secondary or the replacement camera. Give you a different look. I can now look further this way instead of turning my head to the side. I will. Hey, how you doing, Louis? Louis, rather. Excuse me. So I will be monitoring, of course, those who come in. In fact, let me see if I can move this iPad to right on the keyboard. As long as I don't play too hard, I can monitor those who are coming in. Would like to welcome those who are watching me from Facebook. I have quite a gathering of supporters there who have been watching the very same shorts that I place on YouTube. They're also placed on my Facebook page, and have a very large following there of people who are interested in the traditional sound of gospel music. And as often as I say, if I don't stop talking, I won't stop talking. I see I've got a shadow there over the keys, and I don't want to hide them. Okay, so let's reposition this back over here again. I'll just turn my head. Key of B flat is what the original key of the song is in. As you know, I love doing scales to a song because this song is all basic melody, no real alternative notes. Like to hear and as you can see, I'll practice more than just one octave. This is where your ears can hear where all your chords are going to come from. And always be able to add in hearing your very basic chords using the natural system, of course. Major, minor, seventh, and the major. And as you can see, once I correct my mistakes, when I don't hear the note correctly, scale chords is built on the actual scale. So if you hear a wrong note, it's because you're not paying attention to where every note of the scale is found. All right. So now I'm tuned up. There we go. So just because the melody now gives me this melody line, That is the jazz scale. No, ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da. There it is. As I often say, once you know the key of the song, then you learn the melody line, then what mode are they using, which is the chords that are assigned to the melody line. It makes it that much easier to learn these type of songs. So I started with the melody. I serve a risen Savior. He's in the world today. Here's your highest note. Know that. You know, now that I think about it, that sounds a little high. I may have been thinking of another song. So, let's see, I always want to be correct. Let's look at what key I picked. Because in hearing the melody, that's really going to put it out of the range of a singer if I put it in B flat. So we always want to check and always want to be correct, especially when assisting a musician learn a song. Number 275. I guess I've been out of church work too long. I retired too early, so I can't remember a key to a song, and that's usually what I would rely on. How many times I've played it. B flat is correct. Sight reading. All right, so I am correct. Again, I was beginning to wonder, did I forget how to pitch the song? Let's move this out of the way. So, we have our first opening part of the song. Now, I love to use the most easiest chords. They just use a term called KISS. Keep it simple, Sam. Keep it simple by is just finding the melody and give bass chords to it. Very basic. Now, if you never took piano lessons like me, I never took formal piano lessons, but I've watched others who have, and I see how they're able to chord around a melody. So I picked up my own interpretation of that as find the bass chords that will fit around the melody. Now, for those who use the number system, it'd be the 1, the 2, the 1, the 2, the 1, the 2, the 1. But that's not what you want to play during a song service. But in this case, when you're learning the song, you need to have a baseline set of chords to work from. So now I'm shifted down. Now I've lowered my positioning of the chords, but because I practice chords in the left hand also, my hands know how to form the chord that's in my head. So back again, let's gonna change some chords and add the bottom, which is the bass line. Now look at how sweet now it sounds that I was able to see the melody line, see what I call the bass chords around it, basic chords, and now you add what I call the actual meat of the song, the actual bottom. Once again, I serve a risen Savior. He's in the world today. Now I'm throwing in, I believe, what do we call this? A B flat major add 2. I always have to look at the chordy app because the lowest note determines the name of the chord. Now, of course, if I took that lowest note note off, it thinks I'm playing a D flat because of where these chords are falling. Put the B flat there, and then the note name changes. But that's just for references. Continue. Same concept. Because I know it's going to change. So 1, a major 3, 1, 2, 3 in major, a 6 minor, a 2 with a 7, and then a 4, which would be the F. So now we add the other notes to help bring out that full chord. Now you may not have this reach, but just come right here and resolve. One more time. I know that he. Now this is a classical term. A classical turn. If you know the Richard Smallwood style, that's where I get that from. His melody at the top, so you know what chord is going to be associated with it. Hey, welcome. Yes, I have the African American Heritage Hymnal in my mind. The minute I began playing the notes, I said, "Gee, that's awfully high." And I'm thinking maybe it should have been down in F. But then when I saw the actual sheet music written out, 2 flats, then I knew, okay, we're in the key of B flat. It's been a while since I've had to play this song. Not that long, but long enough. So that takes you to that part. So let's look at what we have. This is again for the viewer who requested this via email. I serve a risen Savior who's in. We'll give you this chord, turn chord today. Now, there's so many changes that I always put into a song to fill up the spaces, but from a learning standpoint, I'll just jump from verse to verse. I know that he is risen. No, if I remember my words right. The what? And just go straight. You could add that 7th in it. That gives you that gospel sound. And yes, this chord is found in the scale. That's why I say learning scales are so important, because you will hear chords that's part of the scale. It's only when those chords go out of the scale that makes it easier to go find them, because you know that it's not in the scale. Find the next note either up below or above, and then you find that particular chord that's being played. Now the next part is the same. And the hand of mercy. Now here's where the change comes. We're going to change the keys into C. We're in the key of C. Now, of course, C is the second note in the scale of B flat major. But the minute you make that change, you are now have available to you all the chords that are in the C. Now we're in F. There it is. That's a very important turn chord coming from the B flat going into the C for this song. So let me see. However you want to approach it. Now you see me doing block chords. I don't have to do that. I can just go right here. If someone, of course, is singing, then I don't have to worry about chording that all the way through. But sometimes you may have a congregation that may not know. I'm not that good a singer, but I do know what the proper notes are. So we came from the second time around. We know we're going to see to F, right? B major seventh. If those who like the number system, 2, 5, 1 in the key of F. That's how close these chords are centered around the jazz terminology. And once you have the 2, 5, 1 chord path ingrained in you, you will find out how many songs use that particular pattern. Why? Because these songs were written by musicians who learned that pattern. So, 2, 5, 1, and walk it up. Now you can throw that half tone in there for He Lives. That half tone sounds pretty. It's like a, how can I put it? That tone is a expectation chord. He, the melody. Almost forgot the melody. And we'll stop right there. So we come out of that seventh in there. Now I'm giving you the chords I like to use because they don't require you to move your hands so far. He walks, B, E flat, A, G, F, C, B flat. He walks with me and talks with me. I'm used to playing chords all the time. That's why I'm looking at it. G, G, F, F, B flat, G, A, B flat, C. He walks. Or pick one you want to use. And he walks with me and talks. Another half tone. Talks with me. A minor. Back to the F, 2, 5, 1. Pick a way you want to go. Jazz is such a beautiful language. Once you understand how many paths you can take in any song, it just opens your ears up to, like, I hear these changes before I play them. and then I pick and choose which one I want to use. So I'll use the basic one. He lives. He lives. Here's a change. And look at this chord. Of course, it is in B flat, but look at what we're using. E to the E flat. Here's your classical chord. It's taking us to G. Jazz chains. Diminished chord. He lives on the bottom. So let's cover where we came from. He walks with me and talks with me. We know we're going to the G minor. No, the C7. The narrow. Melody at the top. To the F7. As long as you land on that note, you could go again with the half tone. He lives. As you can see, I'm holding on the bass. E flat. Another turn. Let me go over that again. E. Again, this is a lesson for the viewer who did request this song. Now you see me doing a lot of melody. Let's take the melody out. Diminish. There's no melody. Staying in the notes, which are basic. So with the melody, C. Lost it that quick. D7. Always, never be afraid to experiment when you're playing, because that's where you begin to unlock some of the mysteries of how other musicians seem to do it flawlessly. I could hear in my head, throw that change in it. Bum 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 bum. See, because I can hear those changes again if I was just playing, doodling around with the keyboard. Those are the type of things I do in my own personal time. Would I do that on a Sunday morning? Of course not, especially not with this song. But because I can do it, it's like, oh, what if? There's always a what if moment happening in my head. Again, welcoming those who are watching from Facebook. So, Keep it basic. G7. Liz. Get the melody right. Diminish he. And on the bottom you want a F. Your bass hand. Hold on it within. Give it that F7 on the top. Okay. You could do here also if you want. All right. So I've shown quite a few chord techniques in playing this song. When you practice this song, I always say play the melody line because that will help to solidify in your mind what's the next chord going to be until you get comfortable. I know that he minor. We're going to C, no, to F. Turn on that half tone. There it is. On his hand of mercy. Trying to remember the words. His voice so clear. Now we know we're going to C. Is to F 2 5 1 bum bum bum. All the jazz tones are available to me. He lives. Christ, Jesus, day, diminished, walk, or he walks with me, whichever way I want to go, and talks with me along. It's a life's narrow way. Life's narrow. I'm gonna change the chord on you. I'm gonna go to a G flat. A flat. He walks with me and talks with me. C. A flat. Crescendo building up. This jazz turn. You know it's going to be the D7, so get your hands ready. Again, that melody is helping me to know what chord is coming. So from there, I know I'm going to the G7. Half step. To the C7. Diminished. Now, if you don't have this reach, this is fine. And again, training both hands. Within my, and just a straight chord. All right. I believe I have given enough information for the viewer. I've given you the very base chords. Again, in that chord family, I'm using some of the jazz chords diminished in there, some of the classical turns. Wow, that F over B flat is high for singing, but that's the correct key. If you want to turn, let me see, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Well, not even 1. 2, 5, 1. Again, doodling. F on the F on the bass. So, and I understand those who like to teach the number system as the end all be all to learning songs, but I'm from the era of chords built on scales and patterns from the different modes. So when I hear a song, even if it's a brand new song that I'm learning, I will always refer to my go-to method of what keys in, what scale are they using, what mode of scale are they using. Are they using the Nashville number system, which I never learned until earlier this year when I did an actual series on the Nashville number system, doing my research first as to its origins and how exactly the professionals use it. Because when you listen to music that's been recorded, those are professional musicians, not your humble servant who loves to listen to everything and just apply what sounds good. So once I got that understanding, I saw where the Nashville number system has been a part of every chord I play. It's just I apply it the way the songwriters did. Rather than doing a root chord, I broke it up. Drop 2, I believe they call it. But then I put the bass underneath it. And then I would change it to fit what I want to do, how I wanted to sound like, with diminish and the seventh, what is this called? B sus4. I'm still learning all these names. Music is a wonder. What does the Bible say? In all thy getting, all the chords and the number systems and the diatonic terms, but get an understanding. Where's the lowest note? Where's the highest note? And then add everything in between. Of course, this is live, so I'm checking to see if there are any questions that have come up while I was doing this. There are 10 watching so far. I do appreciate you for watching. I always ask to let me know that you're here so I can acknowledge you. So I have already acknowledged Sub-Zero, Louis, and a gentleman whose name I cannot pronounce because of the letters. I thank you for watching. Those who are also watching, again, I am a former, let's say former, a retired church musician who always loved to be able to articulate music in the way that I hear it in my head. So when I sit and I play and I look at a keyboard, the first things I'm listening for is, first of all, if I'm in the astro piano mode, where are the highest and the lowest notes? And then every note in between is just a matter of thought. If I go to B flat and do a scale, my fingers have to be able to articulate, not on one hand, but on the right hand, on the left hand also, because that means I can now go middle, high, and as I think about what chords I want to play, I hear them first. Sometimes I can hum them out. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. I hear in 3-4 part harmony, sometimes many more notes. That's how I can easily form them at the speed of thought. I'm trying to hear the chords before I change my hands. Diminish, -6. E flat on the D on the bass. There it is. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Higher note. Or roll to the top. Dun, 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 dun. So yes, I can hear. Hey Barb, how you doing? Yeah, I was in my jazz band in high school. I was the mellophone, the middle of the chords when we were learning different songs, so I could hear all the music that everyone else was playing, and of course playing my part, what was basically centered from here. This was the range of where my notes were, so I can hear center out chords. And again, I'm not perfect when I play them, but when I do make a mistake, I'll hear it and then correct it the next time around. So if I wanted to hear a -6, a seventh, another seventh, another -6, right? -6, there it is. Another seventh. This is all the jazz tones. Diminished, not diminished, but a tritone with a halftone. There's my halftone. And then my church chord. So gospel music became my practicing ground. when I was allowed to start to play for churches. If I were playing for yes, I still have my French on. My high school, no, junior high school gifted me the French horn that I learned on. And I questioned, it says Board of Ed, property of the Board of Ed right on it. They says, no, 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 this is yours. And I still have it back from the 60s. Don't play it at all because it's, I, every now and then I will look at it to make sure that it hasn't frozen up. It's still brand new as far as I'm concerned because I take care of instruments, but I still have that French horn. In fact, let me I always like to do show and tell. Let me go get that. So as I say, there's no. I think I've shown enough musically, but I always like to encourage musicians who are on a on a primary instrument and then come find their way to the piano or to the organ as a secondary instrument. I was never taught to play piano, but I was taught to play the French horn, which I still have. It is in excellent condition. This was me in trying to gauge the year now. I want to say 1968. That was the only French horn player in school. And yes, I knew how to maneuver the French horn, which I was told was the hardest instrument to play because of the amount of pressure and the technique you have to use to play all the notes. So this was gifted to me by the head of the music department. I guess he thought there was never going to be another French horn player. Usually once a year, I'll pull on these because I don't have any of the silicone grease just to make sure that they're not stiff. And as you can see, they are still, after all these years, they are not stuck on there. It's undamaged. The mouthpiece is all, well, it's corroded, basically. But if I wanted to, I'll put it like that, and put in maybe 6 months of stern practice, I could probably get some notes out of this. But yes, this was me in my doing the 1812 overture. No, 1812 overture was high school when they switched me over to mellophone because they didn't have French horn players. So I got switched over to the mellophone, kind of the same E flat mellophone at that. But my notes were centered in the middle of songs, or placed rather in the middle of songs. Move that out of the way. But that is, and again, a little brief music history. That is where um, my technique of listening comes from. I was an avid listener, not only avid listener, but reader of sheet music for the French horn and the mellophone. And because I had so many instruments around my ears, whenever I play, I hear all of them at the same time. So I can pick and choose what chords I want, which came from practice, ardent practice of hearing chords, practicing them. And when I began to purchase chord books, see the proper fingering, which made the playing of chords a lot easier. As when you see when I do the scales, I do the proper fingering so that I could know what positioning I should have my fingers in to play a chord, be it an octave or above an octave or centered in. It does take a lot of practice and a lot of movement. Did you used to be a teacher? You definitely have a calling as a teacher. You teach in a way that is Understood. It's not overly complicated. Louis, I was trained to music. My music teachers were actual musicians, which made it a lot more interesting to learn. It wasn't. I never had a music class where I was bored because the teachers taught music and their passion and love for music transferred onto me, especially when they picked certain songs and the conductor was an actual musician. If you weren't playing your part right, he'd stop everybody and say, "Okay, play your part. Now, play it with feeling. Play it like you're the only one playing." So when I instruct, I always don't say teach because was never taught. I don't have someone I could go back to and say I taught. I learned under so and so, or I even went to anybody's conservatory. I am 100% self-taught, but with the understanding of how you approach music. It's not just throwing fingers on a keyboard, but it is letting your aspiration for how you want it to sound be felt through your, especially for a piano, through touch. If that's easy to understand, it's more than just playing notes. When I played for church services, I wasn't the number one musician my first 9 years. I was number two on a piano, but I played on the Steinway piano. Usually in a church setting, when the top musician plays a Hammond organ, the Hammond organ is heard when he just turns up his volume pedal and pulls all the drawbars out. So if I didn't get my piece in the very opening of the song, that was it for me. And back then, they did not put a microphone in the pianos. That was a no-no. So the organ, again, was the lead instrument. And then you had a choir, and when there was a drummer there, forget it. But that never persuade me from playing a piano any different than I did. I often say when I played the piano, especially a Steinway, I played it like it was a Steinway. Now, I'm not in the Steinway mode. I'm in the mellow grand piano mode. But when I'm in the actual Steinway patch, or I'll say the grand piano patch, it's like it activates another sense of hearing in my mind. And now I hear that deepness of the lower note and the actual tinkling of the higher notes. I change my approach, the actual style that I use. In fact, because this is a live, and I love to talk with the members of the chat. In fact, YouTube requests that we do longer lives. So let's go back to my keyboard, and I'm going to change the mode from mellow grand to the for the Yamaha full concert grand. Adjust my seat. So now I'm going to hear it a lot differently. It's the same song. So I got to find my notes. I hear how it's all different. I got very good headphones. So now I can hear it differently. Got to stop rushing it. which way I want to go. I don't want to diminish. Ah, overthinking when I'm playing it. Go back to my rehearsal mode. But the grand piano sound does lend to a concert feel. So I try to get into the concert mode, and that's something that usually doesn't happen right away. I basically have to keep playing until I get comfortable enough to feel concert mode. That's when you're just doing all the. And then switch it to jazz. And as you're watching from the camera, you see my hands barely come up off the keyboard. Getting notifications on my watch. I don't know who's sending me. Don't worry about it. So, unless there are any questions, I don't want to keep you long. How long have I been here? 53 minutes. So, are there any questions while I have, as you might say, a captive audience for the next, go for the next 5 minutes. Try to keep it under an hour. Music is a part of what I do. It is like breathing air to me. If I'm not playing, it's not like I'm angry. It's just that I know I can get to the keyboard anytime I want to. There's no hindrance. I can pick any song, any key, and play it in. B flat. Yeah. F. There we go. Okay, that's what I'm getting. So, time we got another 3 minutes. It's just a matter of, if you're going to change the key, seeing the melody of the scale. G flat. A flat. D flat. Turn chord on a half tone. flat, E flat, diminished chord, that's how I was able to, if the choir director felt the song was too high, whatever song I learned, I would look at the scale of the song she wanted to put it in and just re- reconstruct the song in the next key. If I went to E major, A flat, E flat, D flat minor, F sharp, B major, A F sharp, no, C D flat, C sharp, B flat, B major, diminished, melody in the scale, F sharp, B, dun, 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 turn chord, never played in this key before, A flat 7, C sharp 7, or D flat 7, diminished, B flat with a over E. My jazz turn, my closing chord, a simple E major chord. Can you play Oceans? Hey, how you doing, Mr. Hawkage? I am not familiar with the song Oceans. I am sorry. Generally, if I've learned a song in my past, I can recall the melody of it and the key it's in. But if I've never learned it, I'd have to listen to it. In fact, let me do you a service. Let me pull up Oceans on YouTube because I can't let you hear it, and let me see if I can learn that song immediately from listening to it. Going on mute. Oh, forgive me. Sorry about that. So I was just saying, in the midst of my silence, I got to be careful when I play those chords, these type of chords, because YouTube has admonished me or given me the slap on the YouTube wrist that I'm playing chords to somebody else's song. So as I said, it starts in the six to the one, back to the five, and then to the four. This is the opening. Now, because I said YouTube doesn't like when I do this, I just wanted to, so I because I have never learned the song doesn't mean I can't. That's what I immediately picked up. That it's in the key of D major, and it's using the number system chords. Again, if I keep talking, hopefully the algorithm does not hear me doing this chord. So I just keep talking to the one, then it goes to the five, and then it goes down to the four chord. And this is in the one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and one again. No, I should be off of mute. I'm looking at. I'm seeing my voice move, and I hear myself on the iPad. But if I were to play along with the actual recording, just put you on mute and play along with it, YouTube would immediately send to me the minute the stream ended a copyright restriction message that we have picked up this song and you don't have the right to air it. Not that I was airing the exact song, but I play close enough to what the album sounds like in the same key, in the same range. It happens. I've had so many. It's like I've got two now. I'm waiting to actually disappear. But yes, that is the nature of what I as what I instruct in. Hear the key the song is in, and then hear the chords and the mode that they're using. So when I hear the minor, I'm like, okay, I know that's a minor chord. I know that's a major. Back to the major chord, and then they're gonna go to a major, and it's just a matter of where they're placing the lowest note, which is the bass, and what happens after that. But yes, not a hard song to learn. It's just a matter of placement around the melody which is being sung. Beautiful voice also on that young woman. Also, are there any other questions? As I say, I don't want to get another strike on this live. The last two lives I got strikes on them. But if I change the pitch, because I love learning music that I've never heard before and getting a feel for how the actual composition. I may not know the songwriters or the producers who produced it, but I do know the texture of the music and how they actually bringing it across. Especially when you start off with a minor. That reminds me of the 1812 overture. That's the opening of the 1812 overture. So the minute I heard them in that minor, I said, "Yep, they're going to take it up to a major, just like they did in a classical piece, which is what classical music is." Now, I'll get a copyright just for doing that. I'm sure I will. And I'll just ask them to mute it like I do all the other ones. Because you have to be able to hear every range of pitch, not just what's comfortable to you, but what are the notes the lowest note and the highest note. Once you can hear where they are placement, then you know everything else is in between. Go and search for it, starting with the major scale, if that's what it's built on. And now, if it's built on a minor scale, then you got to search for it on a minor scale. Hmm. Nope. Minor scale. There it is. I use all kind of techniques to be able to hear how a song is constructed. And once I hear it, because they generally only use one or two, they're either doing major or they're doing a harmonic minor based upon the songwriter approach to it. Just those two scales helps me learn any song, unless of course it is just so far out there that I've got to sit and get an understanding. Do I hear majors? What song did I learn for someone? Martha Munizzi? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, Be Glorified. No, what did they end on? They ended on a strange chord, and I wrote them out too for the lesson that I did. Let's see if I can dig it up. Be Glorified chords. Here we go. And I wrote up as intro D E F sharp. Oh, how'd that intro go? D E F sharp D. This makes no sense. Why would I put D before E? C D E G G B C E B C E G. I wrote out these chords and they're not making sense to me. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick, Be Glorified, and see why I put those chords there. Putting it on mute. Gotcha this time. Okay. Clustered chords. When I learned that song. Yeah. So that was when I learned Be Glorified. I try to sound like the actual music. I forgot to change that change in the middle. I'd have to again because generally when I learn a song, especially when it's a viewer request, I never go back to it. Once the lesson has been created, I basically have to clear my mind for the next song, so I don't be having a spillover from the previous song. And a hymn, I never have that problem because all the hymns are written in a particular pattern. If you know one pattern in one hymn, whoever the hymn writer is of that era, the other hymns will probably follow that same pattern, major, minor. Usually, no diminish in your hymns. It's just major, minor. Um, you might have an actual seventh if you stretch it out. Sevenths and majors. It's when you add the flavoring to it. Mm, mm. There it is. Yeah. Any other questions? I've gone over the hour by 16 minutes. Again, it's always a pleasure to have guests whenever I do a live. Uh, Let me acknowledge those that are here before I sign off this stream. For the viewer who requested this, uh, he lives. I will send the link to that person's email because it wasn't requested here on the YouTube channel, but it was an email request. And I always try to be sensitive to the viewers when they ask for songs, um, not knowing where their skill level is, which is why I'll always take it down to its common denominator, melody and your basic chords. And then as the skill level grows, if they are at a level where they want to go beyond what I was showing from the beginning, they can, again, I give you the whole loaf basically with butter on it, which is that traditional gospel sound, through a little bit of classical in there too. So if there are any questions, or if not, then I will bring this stream to its close. Want to thank those who are coming in. Sub Zero, who was the first one, he came right in when I came on. Louis, I'm gonna spell your name SLJJ. I'm not sure what that is, but thank you. Barb N, I believe you're from the Facebook crew. Mr. Hockage, thank you for coming in. And I think that is everyone that has left a comment. Of course, um, Sam Tobit, Sound of Joy Music Services, we believe in assisting musicians to getting to where they want to be musically for tomorrow, but for right now, for when they start their next service. Oh, Sharon. Okay, your middle initials, no problem. Thank you, Sharon, for coming in, spending some time. This may be your first time, I believe, coming in on a live. You don't have a recognized uh, YouTube name tag that I normally see coming up when I do my lives. There will be more of these. We're coming to the end of September when I've been featuring gospel piano. Hey, Benjamin, want to answer your question. Just want to know when a person is listening to a recording, what do we listen to pick out the notes of the recording? Number one, start with the most prominent instrument. Now, it used to be piano back in my day. Now there's so much synthesized sounds with pads and multiple instruments playing along with the singing and the bass player and any kind of a beat. It's difficult now. And they can go anywhere now musically. It's like almost as though they're writing the song for musicians and the singing was just added. Hey, thanks for coming in, DB Moshe. But listen to the most welcome, excuse me, the most recognizable instrument is the sound of the piano. Start there. As you will see on most of my videos, I'll do it from a piano standpoint. Now, when I have some videos that has an actual organ as the lead instrument, then I'll switch my patch and use an organ mode because that's the lead instrument. But for the most part, the piano, which is where piano tone, which is where I will say 90% of the musicians should learn to play in first before they start adding the pad and the angelic choir noises and the strings. Strip all that away and just deal with the piano. That's where you will find the key it's in, the mode that it's playing in. Because usually piano players don't go too crazy unless it's, again, an urban gospel song. Like if you want to learn any of Kirk Franklin's songs, he likes to pitch his songs around D flat, D flat, E flat, yeah, D flat and E flat, and his chords are centered right in the middle. So you don't have to worry about how far out you have to go. His chords are usually right there, and they usually have a pop sound to it. So you'll be hearing inverted. Let me see. I don't have my keyboard look on. Like when I learned his song "Tiny Tiny Desk," I'm like, okay, this sounds like a lot of your other songs you've done. You just put a different texture to it, made it easy to learn. But yeah, pick out the piano part. And number two, listen if there's choir voicing. Listen to what the choir voicing is doing, because that three-part harmony or whatever harmony they're using is the 80% of what the chords are in the song. The musicians are playing around it, but that'll help you sink into what are the correct chords that the choir voicing is. So the piano part, if you can distinguish it, again depends upon the song, and the choir voicing. That's where you can actually start. Now there are some that say, well, start with the bass. I could never understand that. The bass is the lowest tone in the music that you're hearing. Why would you want to start there to figure out what chord you're in? If you're doing the number system, yes. If they're playing a four bass, well, what chord are you going to assign to it? I always say chord first, bass last, because the bass again brings it all together. That's why I say look for what the pianist is doing. He's usually playing above the bass and below the organ, and right there in the sweet spot of where music is heard, where the actual voices are, and again depends upon the song and the era in which that song was written. Today's songs are being still featuring the CCM sound, which leaves you little to doubt where the chords are. Just have to pad it to give it that atmospheric sound of that airiness of a high, middle, and a low when you play one note. I hope I give you a an explanation there. If you have a song in mind, you're always encouraged to leave a comment on each of the videos that you listen to, and I'll add you to my list. In fact, let me see who's still on my list of uncompleted. My stomach is growling. I don't know why. I'm looking to see the list, which has been. I have Still by Juanita Bynum. Hallelujah, the Lord God Almighty reigns. I don't know who that's by. Milton Brunson's A Miracle. Did I do that one already? And then there's Fight On by Kevin Davison. That's still on the list. Another Chance by 20, which I haven't seen 20 in here. I think I did pull that up. You didn't give a name, but I saw a couple of videos under Another Chance. So I've got one, two, three, four, five songs still. You played a chord progression with that half whole scale video trying to figure it out. Oh, it's just a walking chord. Um, I can put that when I make a short. I always still have the original file because when you're doing a short, you have to sort of shrink it in so to fit the uh, diameter of what's being shown. But I have the full video. I will post that so you can see all the chords from left to right, the lowest to the highest chord, and in a much bigger way. In fact, I can do that now because I'm not. Sorry about that. Let me find that file now and post it. It was done recently, so it shouldn't be too far away. Generally, when I do a short, it is just it is that to draw people to the site. Oh, you know what? I have the original video. I didn't convert it for. I converted it for YouTube, but not for. I mean, for a short, but not for full play. Okay, I'm on the site where I keep all my videos. I'll keep it there, and I will post that after I get off this live. But it's just one of those chord progressions that you would hear in some songs. That change takes you from one part of the song, and then it leads you to the next part. Thank you again for coming in. Thank you for your participation. You make these lives worthwhile when I do get people come over. See, we got 16 people who are viewing now. I think that's the most I've had on my lives. You make me want to go have lunch rather, or dinner because my stomach is starting to growl, and come back and go live again. But we'll see. I think I have um, kept you all. Benjamin, what is the best way to pull the chord progressions out of the music? I struggle with that as well. I appreciate your answers. They help me. Chord recognition. If you look at any of my videos, I always give you the Nashville number system chords from 1 through 7 because in them you hear major, minor, and the diminished chord sound. First you hear major, minor, minor, major, major, diminished, and then go back to a major. Just playing that and practicing that in every key will let you hear chords that you hear in songs. One thing I try not to do is to number out the chords under a number because songs don't play by the rules. Certain songs do. Some of your CCM songs will, but the gospel songs don't play by rules. You think they're in one key and they're in another key, but it's the chord progressions that they use that travel throughout the song, or percussive playing. And if you've seen from some of my videos, I can play the piano like it's a drum with chords. I said I was going to leave, but now I got to demonstrate that what I mean by that. So by percussion, the piano is a percussive string instrument, in that you have to strike it. Get comfortable here to get the sound out of it. I will play it like this. That's not striking. That's striking. There's a difference. So when you strike it, Then you've got to have touch. And you could use that touch or that ability to strike it to give a particular sound. That's not something that can be taught. That has to be felt. You have to be able to feel, and as you feel the tension coming back at you, or the actual weight of the keys coming back at you. It's like when a drummer is playing and he's striking the drums. He's letting the sticks bounce. Yes, I did take drumming in school, drumming, how to hold it correctly and how to do the what is it the radimacue, flams, all these terms that I had to do, just as a precursor to, no, am I ever going to be a drummer? No, because I like playing notes, but to feel that bounce, not just on the right hand, but on the left hand also, and depends upon the song that you're going to be doing. If you're doing a song that has a lot of rhythm to it, then you can gauge if you're going to be in the one. Let's go to D flat. I'm in the one there, but look at all the chords I'm playing. So that's staying in the one. But I'm in the one, but look at all those chords bouncing. Minor, major, so being that the piano is both a musical and percussive instrument, you can do what a lot of other instruments can't do: play with feeling. But when you hear the chords used by so many other songs, you will begin to recognize those chords in everybody's song. Richard Smallwood's Total Praise, when it starts high. You begin to hear where he's getting his chords from a classical, but also I'll call it a classical jazz. Let me see, Walker. Ba-bum. Minor, seventh or diminished chord. So once you begin to recognize the chords you've learned in somebody else's song, if someone else uses it, you go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I know what that chord is. And it makes learning the song that much faster. As I stress, every musician should have a chord reference book that gives you all the chords in every key, and then you practice those as a part of your daily routine, not in every key, but enough so that you can, when you hear those same chords in songs, you will recognize where it came from. You go to your reference book, be it hard copy or online, and seek for the name of that chord. I don't think. I want to see if I can pull it up here. Give me a second to. I want to see if I can pull up. I have a reference chart that I've. borrowed from another site, and I haven't pulled it up in this setup yet. Let me do this. Okay. Let's see if I can go find it now. And I want to pull up a image. Okay. It's an image of chords. Here it is. Let me open this up a little bit. So if you want to know how it's all done, here you will see chords. Key of C, C major, minor, augmented, major 6, minor 6. You hear me talk about a minor 6 chord or an augmented chord. That augmented chord, I believe, is the half tone. Right, that's the half tone chord, C, E, and G sharp, right. That's the half tone scale chord. That is what you saw in one of the videos that I posted. These are the chords that go into all the songs that you hear. Here we go. But they don't end there. There are more chords. There are dominant seventh, minor seventh, major seventh, and diminished seventh. Believe it or not, there are more chords than this, but this is the only reference that I actually came across. But this is where you can actually start to be able to see. And thanks to shout out to Piano Note for placing this on Instagram, where I snapped it up. But this is where your chord building begins, by knowing that they exist. Number one, in every key, the same names. A major chord in C is the same major chord in D flat. Fingering is different, but for that key, they will sound different until you play them. Then you go, oh, okay, sounds the same, just in a different key. But then as you throw in the augmented, which is they call it augmented, but that's the actual whole tone. And then you begin to hear a whole tone chord in a song. That helps you understand they placed this chord in this song. And then you'll find out how many songs you hear it in. You start to hear it in every song you listen to, not just on church songs, but in secular songs. You hear it in actual movie themes and television commercials. But because I say it doesn't stop there, now you get the dominant seventh chords, which is what I've been playing, and I play them in the different inversions. Most times though, musicians will talk about play this chord, play the C chord. Let me go back down. Play the C chord in a first inversion, which means the C is the root of that chord. Well, play it in the root position rather. Play it in the first inversion. Well, now the C becomes the last note in that chord, right? Right. C becomes the last note. Everything shifts. And then played in the second inversion, it shifts again. The E becomes the last note in that chord. The C becomes the middle chord. That's when you begin to train your ear how the same chord would sound as you progress up or progress down an actual scale. That's the practice that I always stress. Know that the chord exists, number one. Number two, practice it. The minute you get to the major six chords, now you can add another inversion, because 3 notes gives you 3 inversions, 4 notes gives you 4 inversions. If you do 5 notes, which I play 5 note chords, that's 5 different inversions I can add to that chord. That's why I said this is just the beginning. There is so much more. So your struggle is basically not having a reference to every chord that is out there in your own time, of course, in your practice session, maybe devoting 5 minutes You don't have to pick every key. Pick one key and practicing those chords. Then when you get to play the song that you want to learn, you will hear those chords being used to take you to either take you from an F to a from a C to an F or one to a four chord. They'll use that augmentive or I call the halftone, and it'll lead you to that chord. The sound of it captures your ear. It's basically a C chord with a raised fifth note. So if you got a C, D, E, F, G, C, E, G being the C major chord, you raise the fifth note to G to a G sharp, and that is your halftone scale chord, which is what I covered in one of my shorts. And once you hear it and you learn that, you'll never unlearn it, and you will always hear it being used, and you will go, "Wow." Stevie Wonder's "You Are the Sunshine of My Life," where they go dun 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 dun, dun half tone. I can't play it because I'll probably get flagged for it, but that's all he's using. He's playing within the scale chords in the half tone scale. And once you hear it, you won't unhear it. Donnie McClurkin's reprise of "Stand" after you've done all you can. Names it. Yeah, during the reprise of "Stand," that same halftone chord is there. Can you hear this? I don't think I've activated sound on here, did I? Did I? No, I didn't. On this scene I'm using right now, I don't have the piano turned on. But you'll be listening and you'll be hearing those same chords, and you go, "Wow." And then you will find out that others have used that same chord and either added notes above it or notes below it to change the sound of it. But when the minute you start taking away those notes, you will see, oh, it's the same chord. They've just added on top of it. That's the magic of music, being able to manipulate the notes. Well, again, thank you, Benjamin, Moshe. I believe I quote everyone else for spending some time with me. I hear my stomach growling, which means I need to put something in it so that I can nourish it. Thank you all for spending some time with me. Sound of Joy Music Services. I'm looking at my microphone flashing too hot. Your support and your viewership helps me in support of what I'm doing. And of course, your comments keep me encouraged that I am helping somebody along the way. Thanks again, and see you on the next live viewer request. Take care.